All right. Welcome to episode 2 of Everything's Open. For anybody who hasn't seen the first episode, and I'm not even sure that I explained the plan here in the first episode because it's sort of been a moving target, but I think we're kind of locked in. Um, so the way that I've sort of finalized on the way this is going to work is we're going to do six, might end up doing seven, but we'll plan for 6 episodes. And the idea here is that each of the episodes will sort of be a pilot episode for a potential series of some sort. Maybe like some sort of like limited series. For example, there's the China History podcast, and that guy did like a 15 to 20 episode little mini series on the history of tea, and he actually released that as like a separate feed, but also in the history of China feed. So we might be able to do something like that. Like maybe we keep the title "Everything's Open" and it just sort of becomes this revolving door of miniseries. I don't really know, but this opening thing, we're going to do six. Last time I did sort of the origin story of where we are with Friends of CC Music. Like how did we get here? So honestly, not my best work. I went into it with no planning, and and then I kind of faded physically. So I've got some tea here today. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I think that might have also been at night or late afternoon, and we're early afternoon now. So hopefully that doesn't happen. And I also have a guest this time. So Sam, this was your idea, and that by no means means that Sam and I will be the ones that will take this and run with it. But yeah, why don't you give a little just a slight intro to yourself and introduce the topic that we have today.
Greetings. Um, I was introduced to the world of Creative Commons back in the fall of 2010. Um, I did a Google search of free music that I can download legally, and the very first search result was Jamendo, and then I think like the second or third result was the Free Music Archive. Um, and after doing a little browsing, I immediately found some music that sounded amazing. And so I just kind of like got addicted from the start. And then as I was browsing, I started to recognize that there are these collections of like online music labels, and they were like constantly releasing things. Um, and yeah, I mean, I guess, um, um, yeah, so, um, during this episode, we're gonna share a bunch of links to net labels and I guess show what genres they release. And I don't know, I have some personal notes about some of them. Um,
Let me
yeah.
ask you a question. So obviously, we've got this little mini series going. Like long term, what would you like this to turn into? Like let's just say you have unlimited time. You can have anyone host this. What is this host doing?
Um, well, I mean, I'm guessing that this first episode would be like an introduction video for people who have no idea what net labels are. Um, but beyond that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could like interview a net label owner and they could talk about the history of their website or something. But I feel like you've already done that in like some of your interviews. But
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
mean,
sure.
yeah. So
It's
when
very,
you
ve- very open-ended.
Yeah, yeah. So when you posted the idea, I was thinking, okay, well, how is this going to be different than NetWaves? So I went back and listened to NetWaves, and I was thinking, well, NetWaves is almost entirely just music, which is cool. But that's an easy way to differentiate. And I'd say NetWaves, not exclusively by any stretch, but leans heavily into the electronic music, which is definitely, there's coming out of like the demo scene, like there's a lot of electronic music influence, especially in early Creative Commons history. um so that would be potentially another way that it could be a little bit different. So but yeah, and that's kind of the reason why I asked. The first episodes, you're kind of doing the origin story of where we are with net labels at this point. So just wanted to sort of
So where would
give
you
people some
like
direction.
share this introduction video to? Because I don't know, I feel like a lot of resources, like uh, it's a bunch of people who already know about net
Yeah,
labels, but
for sure.
so it's how do you find new people to like introduce
Yeah,
them?
well, that is something we're going to talk about on January 25th. So I'm glad you brought that up. I don't know if I have the spreadsheet right in front of me. Maybe I do. I think that's a good topic for the community building session, which that will start at 9 Central. So that'll be 10 for you on January 25th, Sam. So yeah,
Cool.
we need to. That's definitely a thing that we need to figure out. But yeah, so I know you said you had some notes on some net labels. Why don't we get into some specifics?
Yeah, I'm gonna share my screen.
Sweet.
And go to this. So you should see a list here in Google Documents. Let's see.
Yep.
So, um, this is mostly a list of net labels that I have in the past year downloaded music from. Um, some of them are probably household names in the Creative Commons community. Some of them might not be. Um, and
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd venture to guess that there's probably our this Creative Commons scene is so diverse. There's probably not a lot of. I mean, other than like 9 Inch Nails, like honestly, don't know what would be. Because if you think about some of these net labels, like, if you're just on Jamindo or you're just on FMA, like you may have never even heard of them. So so yeah, I definitely think we should go through. Even, I mean, some of these are definitely big names, but we should still talk about them for sure.
so this first one is called Brocade. Um, I believe it's German based. This is one of the ones that only releases like maybe 2 or 3 albums a year. But they definitely have a quality feel. This is where I discovered Marie Wilhelmine Anders. Um, let's see. Um, I guess if I had to specify the genres, it's definitely electronic based. There is some like 80s synth pop with like vocals, but it's mostly like um, electronic or house stuff. Yeah.
And you may not know
Um,
this. Do you know, are they on archive.org? There's a big net label list on
I don't know. I
archive.org.
had something else to mention about the Internet Archive,
Yeah.
but For this one, I'm not sure if they are. They are definitely Creative Commons. I've communicated with the owner on their Facebook group, and even though their website doesn't really say the license information, they are Creative Commons. Um, so that's that. Um, I guess in the show notes or something, you could share these links. Um,
Yeah, if you want, you could just make that doc public. I don't know if you want to do that, but and then we could just list to the Google Doc,
right.
and then so probably the easiest way to do that.
Um, and then there's Holy Five, based in the Czech Republic. They release quite a lot each year. Probably at least 20 or so albums. Um, they have a heavy, I guess, rock base. Um,
Yeah, I think that they sort of lean. Um, I don't even know what the right. I mean, you can see on there that like they have experimental, like jazz and
yeah,
improvised music. There's definitely a like an art rock sort of vibe. That's probably the best thing that I can come up. So yeah, there's definitely some rock, but there's a lot of folk and a lot of jazz influence in a lot of what they're publishing. So
yeah. Um, this album by Aline is amazing. Um, where's the track? This album. Um, but anyway, moving along.
I was gonna say, I think they have Aline. Don't they have a video for that?
I think so, yeah.
I seem to recall seeing that. So um, let's see if I can find that. And then, did I lose you, or did you just?
No.
Okay.
Um, and then there's also Abrazo Virtual Discos. This is based in Argentina. I saved this to my bookmarks. I don't fully recall what I enjoyed the most from this, but it's another rock-based net label. Yeah, but with South American artists. Um, and then this next one is pretty huge, Mahorca. Um, they've been releasing albums and EPs like almost every week this year, which is just an insane rate. Um, like, uh, yeah, in the past, ever since November 22nd, they've released 5 albums. Um, I particularly enjoy this Organon album. It's probably going to be my album of the year.
Nice.
And Tame is probably going to be my favorite song of the year. It's just very chill and just awesome, I guess. This net label definitely has a electronic and experimental vibe with a lot of their music. Um, it also just has a high quality feel that you just kind of have to understand what you hear it. Um, Nothing sounds cheaply made, I guess. Um,
Yeah. Sometimes I'd say less so with net labels than just like people posting their own stuff. But sometimes you can get people that are just literally experimenting with with writing songs and stuff. Um, you
yeah,
know, so I did find the I don't know how you pronounce it, if it's Alan or Aline, but the Indigova um, track. Do you wanna watch that?
sure. You can share the link.
All right. Well, I can just share the video. I think.
Yeah.
Let's give this a whirl. Um, so this is Aline Indigova. So unfortunately, I tried this the other day and I didn't get the spam, but they must if they pick up something that's using content ID, they must roll the like, hey, this is a spam thing, which is a bit disappointing. So I guess we'll have to pre-vet. I was hoping. I only played like 30 seconds of the thing before, so thought, well, maybe it was just if you only play clips, they won't do it. But no, it popped up on the stream immediately, which is a bit of a bummer. So um, yeah, it's hard to know just by looking at things what they've got up on there.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, maybe at the end we'll try another one. But in order to not break things up, I guess we'll just not do that.
So Mahorka is based in Bulgaria, but they don't only have Bulgarian or European artists. I know they have a few artists that are like based in Boston. So it's not specifically European based. But yeah, mostly electronic experimental um, and stuff like that. Next on the list we have Bony Media. Um, they are based in Poland. Um, they're mostly known, I guess, to me for releasing these compilation albums in which they have a specific guitar or some sort of instrument, and every single musician on the album has to make a song with that instrument. Um, and so they've had like at least 8 compilations of that format. Um, and they have a few solo releases besides compilations. Some of them are heavy metal based, which I don't personally like, but I know Doug loves heavy metal. Um,
True.
and yeah, um,
Coty, they're I believe they're a New Hampshire band, or maybe they're a band that's similar to them, to that name. Is New Hampshire.
hmm, um, and then next on the list is Jumpsuit Records, based in San Francisco. They have also been releasing a lot of stuff this year. Like almost every week, I get an email from Bandcamp saying they have a new release. Um, it's mostly singles that are like electronic bass. Um,
Well, you can see on the screen that Grandfather Gold has had a couple of recent releases, but I would say
yeah,
um, the main protagonist here is the Polish ambassador. Like that
Yeah.
dude is just releasing all the time.
Yes.
And if you want to hear some Polish ambassador, you can check out Rhino's OO show. He's a big Polish ambassador fan.
Yeah, I've seen some of these releases on his like top 10 um lists.
All right. So the band from New Hampshire is Coyote, Kyoty. So that is a different band, but
I would be
another
very surprised if this Cody was based in New Hampshire.
no.
Um, so next on the list is a Netlabel that I discovered a few months ago. Um, the website makes it seem like it's technically still active, but they very infrequently release stuff lately. Um, but this is called Up It's Up Records. Um, they recently celebrated their 20th anniversary. Um, I th- I think they're based in the UK, but not entirely sure. But they mostly release like electronic experimentals. There are some drum and bass artists. Um, and there's one, I guess, household name artist on here that a bunch of people in the Creative Commons community would know, and that is Ergo Physmiz.
Uh,
Um, I particularly really like um, this Art of Anatomy album. Um, it's like piano music with, I don't know, I guess experimental vocals, I guess, if that makes sense. Just kind of artsy sounding. Um, and uh, they, yes, this album by Germanager is very good. Especially the song called Conduct. I've played that a lot lately. Um, it's kind of similar to Ergo, um, just experimental pop. So yeah, they say they're still active, I guess, but they haven't really released much in the past few years. So I don't know. But they do exist and they are CC licensed. Um, I did see a post on their website saying they used to be in the Free Music Archive, but then they took off their music when Kid Split happened. Um, so maybe they were kind of known back then. I don't know. Um, yeah. Next would be Phono Cake. I particularly like this release by Shaven Worm Orchestra. Um, I guess I would say it's kind of experimental. I don't know. Um, just kind of like a electronic experimental ambient. Um, I haven't really heard that much from this net label. Um, but yeah, they exist. I'm not really sure where they're from.
I seem to
Um,
recall they've been around for quite some time.
uh,
A name that I remember from, I feel like, long ago.
cool. And then next is Pueblo. Pueblo Nuevo. This one is based in Chile, I think. Um, they have a steady release of quite a few albums from the year. I guess it's kind of mostly electronic, but I think there was some rock as well on some releases. They
Yeah,
also, I think, sometimes appeared on Netlabel Day. And so, yeah, I guess the main idea from these links is that net labels exist all across the world with different genres. And some of them release a lot of music a year, and some of them don't. Um, but yeah, yeah, this one's existed since 2005. So,
yeah, and
um,
Phono Cake since 2003. So
wow.
yeah. Um,
Um,
do you remember a while back that Bandcamp had a Japanese net label article? Do you remember that?
vaguely, yeah.
Yeah. So
Um,
uh, I don't know if you're familiar with any of those, but you saying they're all over the world just made me sort of think of that. Um, some of those are CC, some of them aren't. Um, but I think one that has popped up a lot for me is Lost Frog Productions. So um, they've been around since um, 1992. They were
Jesus.
publishing cassette tapes and lo-fi and punk noise music. So I mean that's before Creative Commons, and they were doing cassette tapes, so they weren't a net label, but it's the same folks doing that. So I think this is part of eh, part of the reason the net label term is it can be confusing for folks because it's like Block Sonic puts out tapes and vinyl, and Lost Frog is, I think there's a big like well, Black Sonic does CDs too. I mean, but I think cassettes, there's sort of like an underground scene for that. It's Yeah, I mean, net labels come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, which I think is kind of the point you were trying to make. But it's like there's so many ways that you can slice that. That
Yeah. Um, and there was another one I wanted to mention. This one seemed to have died, unfortunately, but there was one called Death Root Syndicate. Um, and it actually wasn't your like typical experimental music. Instead, it was focused on like dark cult and country. I'm not sure if it was Creative Commons license. The album releases don't really say.
Yeah, if you go back far enough
Um,
on, well, I don't know if it's a far enough thing or what, because that says 2019. But I noticed that somebody I was looking at on the archive.org the other day, it didn't say whether the release was Creative Commons or not. I don't know if I still have that up somewhere.
yeah,
But
their most recent release was January of 2020. So I don't know. Um,
yeah, one thing that people can do if they want to see who's active. I mean, there are a few different ways that things are classified as active. Um, the um, netlabelguide.com has inactive versus active. Klong Kong Moo keeps a single list, but marks dead net labels as dead. but I think the sort of like best way uh, to make sure you're getting active net labels, if that's what you want. I mean, the music is still there for the old ones in most cases. I mean, unless their website goes away. But if you go to the Net Label Day um, releases, then you can find folks that are releasing that year. Um, and so Omar's contention, which is I think logically correct and probably practically correct, um, but doesn't feel correct. Um, the traditional um, reason for a label, their job, their role was to release music. And so Omar's contention is if you are releasing music, you are a label, even if you're just a single individual. And so you can go on to the Net Label website, and you can find you know individuals like Carsey Blanton that are just releasing their own music. Um, you know, there's a few of those. I think probably most of them are what we would consider a traditional net label. Um, Jazz Aria. What are your feelings on Jazz Aria? I assume you're familiar with them.
Um, I have heard of them. I don't particularly care for their music. Um, I have noticed that they release a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's sort of kind of the whole thing. So it Jazz Aria is they release every Sunday. So
wow.
whatever they got, they're releasing. So yeah, I don't really know a whole lot about Jazz Aria. Yeah, I don't. To me, probably not a net label though, because I think it's one person that's making the music.
Yeah, that doesn't really feel like a net label to me because I don't know, a label would be a collection of different artists like
Yeah,
releasing
that's
under the
kind of
same.
yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
interesting because like I understand the like the expansion and having people involved in net label day. I don't know, but yeah, I wouldn't call it a net label myself. But yeah, you can definitely check out. There's a lot of different themes on jazz aria and stuff. Yeah. So Jazz Aria has been putting out music since late 2015. New track every week for 9 years. So that's pretty intense.
So I was going to mention about the Internet Archive. If you go to the audio section, there's a section that says net labels, and then if you click on date added, by sort by, you can see the newest releases. Um, there seems to be a good bit still added. However, there is a big concern of mine, and that is that a bunch of them have 0 views. And so I just wonder, like, what's the point? How many people are coming to this section looking for new music? Um, I don't know.
Yeah, I
Uh,
wonder
like
is
even
it
things that released 10 days ago still have 0 views.
well, I
Um,
wonder I wonder how accurate that is as well.
yeah.
So how did you get there?
So if you go to the archive
And then
website
you sort by
and then
date
click on
added.
the audio tab,
Yeah,
um, all that
let's see.
audio, and then net labels, and then sort by date added.
Yeah, so the 0 views starts in like November. So they had like I know they were having like some attacks. So I wonder if they just like during their DDoS if they just didn't didn't count views during that time. I don't really know how, but yeah, like in November it just sort of ended. But it's not like before that it was like 1, 2 views. I mean, like, they were double-digit views before that, and
Yeah.
some of them triple-digit. So it seems like, and then some of these are like well-known. Like, it's like Human Phobia is one of the one with 0 views. So I mean, there's no way a Human Phobia
Yeah.
album really has 0 views, I don't think.
I
So
know that Mahorka posts their
yeah,
release on here,
right,
and
yeah.
I
So I
think
mean,
Block Sonic used to. Maybe they still
yeah,
do.
we don't anymore. Because, well, I don't know about the posting. I mean, I guess the posting would still work, but it was just slow for download. So we used to like host and then use that as like the host. But yeah, I mean, it would be fine. Like, people could just put it there. I mean, it's like 99.99% of the stuff is Creative Commons. So I did just click on that Mahorka track, but what, or the album. But now I don't know where I don't remember the name of it. Oh, I guess it was December 1st. So I'm not quite down that far. Yeah. So I mean, I just viewed it and it's still 0 views. So
Maybe it's glitched. I don't know.
yeah. They might do the views nightly, or they might batch that. But I think, again, like, they had some DDoS problems, so they might just not be counting views for ever since that started. But the website's clearly working now, so I mean, they could probably start counting views again. I don't know. So
Yeah.
uh,
Um, and yeah, do you want to talk about Block Sonic or something?
well, so yeah, we can talk a little bit about the other side of the coin on, like, how the Netlabel sausage um, gets made. Um, so, in our case, Mike is sort of like the guy, and then I think if we can probably see on some of these, I can I'll actually share my screen and see what we can see here. Share screen. All right, so I'm trying to think of one to just pick to start with, and probably the one that that Mike's involved in, to go sort of to talk about what I want to talk about here. Although he might do this stuff for cheese and pot C. So let's take a look at, so C and P, if you ever see that, is cheese, or cheese and pot C, but it's cheese and pot C, basically. Let's take a look at their most recent one and see what we can see on here. So on all of our releases, we have the FLAC and the OGG, and then the 320 and the 192 MP3s, and then we have different formats for the cover art as well. So this one is just going to be the actual art, I think, and then this is the booklet. So you can't really tell. Maybe actually you can, but I'll download that and then we'll go through here and see if. Okay, so you can see. So Mike and Sean and CDoc have actually I don't know who is all in CDoc, to be perfectly honest, or in TDX, to be perfectly honest. Let's see if we can if we can find that. I think it's Sean. It might just be Sean and Mike, but I think it's Sean, Mike and CDoc. Yeah, that's not gonna tell us here. Whatever, but you'll see this this TDX on a lot of the Blocksonic releases, and so that's Mike's like graphic design and art, like album art company, and they also do like mixing and stuff, and Sean does that. Sean Franklin. So Sean Franklin is in the Scallions. He's also the dad of Alex Franklin, who you might have seen Blocksonic releases about that. So yeah, let's make this a little bigger here. Well, that didn't really help a whole lot, but so you can see that there's a little bit of notes about all of the different the tracks here. So Wingless 2 like mastered it and all that kind of stuff where it was recorded. All the different deets, and then that's like a website that they run, Zeopolis.jp. I don't know if these are clickable. I don't see like links down at the bottom. I'm not sure where that goes. Oh yeah, so it doesn't really go into a lot of detail, but we can at least zoom in here on the PDF and see that the package design is by TDX, and then all right, so defexperience.com is what they're going for. Yeah, so audio restoration and mastering. This is going to be Sean. All right, yeah. So film research and archiving. This is CDoc, and then the artwork, design and layout. That's Mike. So that's how this. So you're going to see this on like a lot of the Blocksonic releases. Pretty sure it's not on all of them, but maybe it is. If I mean, I guess as long as Mike's doing the album artwork, then it probably is going to be. But I think sometimes like Eddie might do his own album artwork. No, he's still got TDX on there, so so yeah. I mean, that's not exclusive to. So this says cover design and graphics by Eddie Palmer. So yeah, I don't know what TDX did there. Maybe Sean mastered it or something. I don't really know. So yeah, but it's like Mike started started Blocksonic, and there's a little bit, we don't need to go into all the history, but people can go to Blocksonic About story and sort of get this backstory. But yeah, this is sort of like where the rest of us came in, and Sean and CDoc were already releasing on Blocksonic, so it kind of made sense. And CDoc is he runs like day-to-day operations for Chuck D's label. So I don't know if it's Spit Slam or Slam Jams. He's had a lot of things that are kind of like around that name. I'm not sure what the name of the actual label is. But yeah, so and it says here the Impossibles, which I don't know if the Impossibles are done as a group. One of the members sadly passed away, so I don't yeah, I don't know. CDOT could still put out some stuff, and then CDOT's in lowdown, so he could lowdown could potentially put out some stuff, but yeah, I just don't know. Um, but yeah, I kind of Mike was aware of Louis Ling and the Bombs and of Lorenzo's music, but I mean Lorenzo's music had already been on a net block, and it's very very possible that Louis Ling and the Bombs had been too. I don't know that off the top of my head, but I basically was like, hey guys, you guys should talk about you know getting some stuff released. So um, I don't think that and we've continued to work with Tom, but their release schedule is quicker than than Mike can get stuff out. So definitely not all of their stuff comes out on Block Sonic. Um, and Louis Ling and the Bombs. Yeah, I'm not real sure. They do. I think they do some stuff with like local labels and stuff in Paris, and so I'm not sure long term if they're going to stick with us. But you mentioned Ergo Fizmiz earlier. Ergo
Yeah.
has released on Block Sonic as well. That's sort of an interesting thing. I mean, it kind of depends. Like, uh, you'll definitely see artists that like they're only releasing on that net label, like Cheese and Pot C. I don't think you're finding their stuff anywhere other than Block Sonic. I don't know what CNP Records is, but yeah, CNP Roach Motel. So I don't know what those guys are, but Chaotic Noise Production, that's their name. So um, they have a whole bunch of stuff, but I think it's all coming um, through the through Block Sonic, except um, we glanced at this earlier, but it might be worth mentioning again. Um, so that's I don't need to go to the Facebook, but spell that right. Yeah. So um, there used to be. Well, this is like a list of like all the things that they show up on. There was at one time like a 100 days of rap thing
Mm.
on here. I don't know. I guess that's over. But yeah, you can see here. Um, he's got Potsy has a show that runs live in on Japan terrestrial radio. So people in Japan can listen to that. And yeah, I don't know where their 100 days of rap went, but people can probably find mentions of that on the internets. Um, but yeah, it's for us. It's Mike does a lot of the graphics for the releases, so it's work for him to release things, and he's very keen on like everything being like presented very professionally, which I'd say there's sort of like varying degrees of that in net labels. Um, I think some net labels, might might take the music very seriously, but they might not like take the web design or things like that um,
Yeah.
seriously. So it's just kind of just depends. There's a lot of different things here. So we have about 10 minutes, a little over 10 minutes of time left to where we can talk about whatever. Do we
I
want to
guess we
try?
should mention Net Label Day.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think we have.
Well, I mentioned the Netlabel Day site, but yeah, we haven't talked much about Netlabel Day itself. So yeah, let's talk about that. I'll say that Omar and I are going to be recording sometime, hopefully today, because he said he was going to do it this weekend. But I haven't, I haven't heard from uh, a time from him, so I don't know if that's going to happen. But at some point, we're going to be doing a show on free culture, which is a subset of Creative Commons music. So if that's of interest to folks, make sure and tune into that one. Um, I guess I'm still sharing here, so why don't I turn? I'm gonna go on mute here for just a second. I gotta go take care of something, so I'm gonna stop sharing and let you. I muted myself before I was done talking, and let you talk about Netlabel Day. I still got my headset on, but I gotta go grab something. Okay.
All right. So Netlabel Day, um, it's like an annual celebration of music released under Creative Commons for free. Um, it started, I think, in 2016, um, and then it gradually got bigger and better each year. Um, it happens on July 14th. Um, and there's a bunch of net labels that participate, and some of them release like a million albums on that day. Um, like Block Sonic this year release like 9 releases. Some of them are full-length albums. Um, Baroque, um, I guess they shared a link to their recent release. Um, some of these weren't necessarily released on July 14th. They're just a recent release from earlier the year. Um, but it's a bunch of music that has the intention of being shared on this day. Um, yeah. Um, I guess it can take a while to get through all this music because there's a lot and it spans like a lot of genres. Um, yeah. Um,
So today, this year was actually the tenth anniversary.
10th anniversary.
Yeah. So, um, no, yeah, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So yeah, 2015. I think the 2016 might be the first time that Donnie participated, and then Donnie has participated every year since then. I think that might be where the 2016 came from. Not 100% sure.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, because Donnie's first Black Sonic release was in 2016. So I'm not sure which one of those was his net label release. So Banana Run, the Skull remix, was he actually had 2 releases. So the Banana Run, and then I guess Something to See was also released that day. Yeah, so Something to See and Banana Run were Donnie's first 2 entries on 2016, and then he's participated every year since then.
Cool. Uh, yeah. So not sure what else there's some mention about Netlabels.
Well, I can mention a
I
few.
made the document public, so people should be able to view it.
Okay. Yeah. I can drop that in the public doc. So I have some labels here listed. I was hoping that we'd be able to share some music, and then I had Jumpsuit Records, Hypnotic Dirge, Discos Macararis, La Vida es un Muse, and Salta Magris lined up to do that. And I left some YouTube links in the show notes. But there were a few other. I linked to the Klong Klong Moo and the Netlabel Guide. Both of those lists, and we mentioned that in some of my past work we've done some Netlabel interviews. Never a show specifically targeted at Netlabel, so that's definitely a new direction. But I link to musicmanumet.com so people can find some of that. But some names that are worth mentioning, and I can just run through these real quick, and then we can see if we want to discuss any of them. But New Focus Recordings, Class War Karaoke, God Hates God, Enough Records, Hazard Records, the Kavi Collective, quote unquote records, Yes No Wave, and then Stoffel's label, which is German, and I'm probably gonna butcher that. Der Klein Grun Werfel, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, so there's a lot of net labels out there. Like I said, just go to the netlabelguide.com/netlabels and Klong Klong New. But those were some that I definitely thought were worth mentioning. We got about 4 minutes, so if you want, I can go through the ones that I just listed and just talk a little bit about those. I
Sure.
left YouTube links to some of them, so I'm gonna not talk about those. And if people want to know about those, then they can go and check out those YouTube links. New Focus Recordings is a collective, really, of professional musicians in sort of the classical music sense. Every once in a while, you sort of get some stuff that sort of leans like progressive rock, but very, very, very like classical, like concert hall sort of stuff going on there. Class War Karaoke and God Hates Gods, I don't have a whole lot to say about them other than they've been around forever. So I felt like they're ones that always just stuck out to me when I was new to the scene because I like their names. And then Enough Records, they do a podcast that's worth checking out. Then Hazard Records has been around since before Creative Commons, and they do CC0 stuff. So no restrictions on that. Kavi Collective is another one that has been around since before Creative Commons. So just really long catalog there. Quote unquote records. They're not as active as they used to be. So Jeff Rosenstock, who runs that label, he was in Arrogant Sons of Bitches, and then which is a ska band, and then or a ska punk band, I guess. And then after that, he was in Bomb the Music Industry, and so he was in Bomb the Music Industry for several years, and then he decided to go solo. So you'll find the old Bomb the Music Industry stuff. There's not any. I thought he used to have the Arrogant Sons of Bitches stuff up there, but I guess he took that down. I don't know. But these days he's like touring with his solo stuff, and he doesn't do a whole lot with quote unquote. But there is a pretty good back catalog there, and he usually puts his albums up on there as well. Um, and then so yeah, if you're looking for like some folk punk and kind of like more arty pop punk, and that's a good place to grab that. Yes No Wave is on the Bandcamp Daily all the time, and I'll leave it at that because we are running out of time. Any last words before we get cut off here?
Not necessarily. I feel like we've said a lot. Um,
Absolutely. So, if anybody thinks, "Hey, this is something that I would like to do. This sounds like a cool thing, and I wanna get involved in the Netlabel review," hit me up. It's Doug@blocksonic.com, and we're probably gonna get cut off here in like 10 seconds. So we'll just hang out and wait for it to cut us off, or we'll find out that they're no longer doing that. But I don't know. Well, we're still going, so I guess there's that. I can never tell. Like they change the rules and like they never. Maybe it's 1 minute. Maybe it's an hour, 1 minute and 58 seconds. Maybe I was off by a minute. So we'll hang out for like 30 seconds, and then I don't know. Maybe they just stopped cutting us off. Maybe it's a Christmas present that they're no longer cutting us off.
maybe.
But yeah. So we'll wait until 101:58, and if it doesn't cut us off, then we'll just call it. And who knows what will what will happen in the next version? Because there for a while we weren't getting cut off, and then we started getting cut off again. So I don't really understand what their rules are. So well, looks like we're not getting cut off. So
Interesting.
thanks everybody for joining us. Like I said, no guarantees that the next one won't just get caught off mid-sitting. So we'll continue to watch that. But it's nice to know that we don't have a hard cutoff. Sam, thank you much for the idea and for helping out today. And if we don't, I'm sure we will. But if we don't talk before, then I hope to see you on January 25th. Actually,
Sure.
are you going to come to the flyer slash handout session? I haven't talked about that on here, but since we're not getting kicked out, I might as well.
Uh, Maybe.
Okay, so January 11th at 2 p.m. Central, we're going to talk about the Friends of CC Music handout creation. So that is going to be a working session like the one on January 25th. So if you want to help determine what gets handed out to musicians and the audience members at CC related events, then you can come show up to that. As much as humanly possible, I try to keep everything at meet.jit.c/cc music. That way it's easy for folks. So yeah, hopefully I will see you there, Sam, and hopefully we get some good turnout to get those flyers made. All right. Thanks a lot, Sam.
Cool.